Museum in Łowicz is a place to learn about rich past of the Łowicz region. It is located in a Baroque post-missionary building designed by Tillman van Gameren and funded by Primate Michał Stefan Radziejowski at the end of the 17th century. Building served as a seminary until 1820. After the destruction of World War II, it was rebuilt for museum purposes. The chapel of St. Charles Borromeo is an integral part of the building. It presents the exhibition Baroque art in Poland and Europe and is preceded by a porch with cross-vault and bars from around the year 1700 with a monogram and coat of arms of Primate Radziejowski. The vault of chapel is decorated with frescoes by Italian painter Michelangelo Palloni. They depict life and activity of Milan's Bishop Charles Borromeo, church reformer and patron saint of the missionary order. Frescoes cover an area of approximately 360 square meters and are one of the most interesting realizations of the illusionist painting in Poland. Interior presents 17th and 18th century arts, crafts, sculptures and paintings, including portraits of Archbishops Michał Radziejowski and Krzysztof Szembek. The history of Jewish community in Łowicz is recalled by a memory chamber of Łowicz Jews. The exhibition is rich in archival materials, everyday items and mitzvahs from Jewish cemetery. In the interwar period, people of Jewish origin accounted for 30% of town's population. Exhibition on the first floor presents history of the town and the Łowicz region. Model, based on a plan of Łowicz from the beginning of the 17th century, shows town with Archbishop's castle dominating over it. The field altar, with the image of White Eagle, made in 1935 by Wincenty Flak, a self-taught sculptor from Zielonka Nowa, is also worth attention. The history of museum collection dates back to the turn of 19th and 20th centuries and is linked with the figure of Władysław Tarczyński, a collector who made his exhibits available to the public in 1905. Up to this day, many objects from his collection can be seen at the exhibition. Among them, archaeological items from settlements and cemeteries left by cultures inhabiting these lands in the past, as well as from early modern period noble mansions discovered nearby. The view of the castle. The seat of the Archbishops of Gniezno is depicted by a model based on graphic by Eric Dahlberg from 1655 and a reconstruction sketch by Stanisław Nowakowski. Another room is concerned with trade and crafts on which the inhabitants of Łowicz made their living. The testimonies are seals, guild marks, tools and handicraft. The coffin portraits of Łowicz townspeople are unique in their character. The banner of the Master Butcher Association Guild in Łowicz, embroidered with the coat of arms of Łowicz, is also. Adjoining to this room is a collector's cabinet from the turn of 19th and 20th centuries. The arrangement based on archival photographs of Władysław Tarczyński collection and exhibit. The cabinet presents examples of antiquities he collected, archaeological and natural objects, travel souvenirs, works of art, everyday items, weapons, and rich library. Next to this exhibition, there is an arrangement of a living room for the turn of 19th and 20th centuries, which walls are decorated with portraits of Tadeusz Kościuszko, Prince Józef Poniatowski, Napoleon Bonaparte, Maria Walewska and Joanna Grudzińska. Important part of the exhibition is a set of black jewelry from the 1860s, as well as weapons and memorabilia from the January Uprising. The museum also possesses several works of Józef Chełmoński, a remarkable painter born in 1849 in Boczki village near Łowicz. They are complemented by paintings from collection of the National Museum in Warsaw and private collections. The historical exhibition ends up with memorabilia related to the 10th Infantry Regiment, which stationed in Łowicz in the interwar period, and the uniforms of Łowicz inhabitants who fought on the fronts of World War II. Here one might see unique examples of weapons: anti-tank rifle UR, Model 35, and submachine gun Błyskawica, the Lightning. The ethnographic department, named after Aniela Chmielińska, presents exhibits dedicated to the folk culture of the inhabitants of Łowicz region. The oldest items come from the collection of Aniela Chmielińska and were gathered at the beginning of 20th century for new-founded Museum of Polish Tourism. The beginning of exhibition shows the construction of the region in forms of models and photographs, as well as the oldest items related to the agriculture and fieldworks. In the arrangement of a cottage from the turn of 19th and 20th centuries, we can see traditional decoration: paper cuttings, so-called spider, bouquets of paper flowers, as well as characteristic setup of furniture with sideboard, bed, chest, bench and table serving as a home altar. Next to the room there are carved sideboards from 1920s made by rural craftsmen, and examples of ceramics from Koło, Wrocławek and Bolimów. An interesting part of the exhibition is the weaving department. It presents objects related to the processing of raw materials and making of homespun fabrics. The museum has the richest collection of peasant clothes from Łowicz area. On the basis of gathered exhibits, we can trace the development of the costumes since the first half of the 19th century, including changes of fashion, decorations and colors, from red through orange to cold colors. Looking closer at the embroidery and accessories, handkerchiefs, sleeves and jewelry, we can note the variety of decoration used in the process. The exhibition also presents wedding costumes and headgears, wreaths and bonnets. Looking closer at the embroidery and accessories, handkerchiefs, sleeves and jewelry, we can note the variety of decoration used in the process. The exhibition also presents wedding costumes and headgears, wreaths and bonnets. The products of rural craftsmen often had high artistic value. Examples are blacksmith and pottery items, among them ceramics from workshops in Bolimów. Tool, basketry and cooperage products are also presented, as well as collection of dowry chests from Łowicz. Most recognizable handcrafts from the region are paper cuttings. They appeared in the 1860s and served as home decorations. Traditional cutouts are accompanied by openwork ones, made since 1920s, as a souvenir from Łowicz. Next to the cutouts, there are so-called spiders, decorations which hung underneath the ceiling. Religiousness of the local inhabitants is depicted by the paintings of saints, Jesus Christ and Mother Mary. Those are woodcuts, paintings made on canvas, paper and collages. A traditional wooden sculpture is represented by roadside crosses, shrines, crucifixes and home altars. One of the oldest exhibits are the Passion of Christ from 1814 and the figures of Mother of God, Saint John Nepomuk and Crucified Christ from collections of Aniela Chmielińska and Władysław Tarczyński. The last room presents works of modern sculptors such as Józef Grzegory, Julian Brzozowski, Małgorzata Kosińska, Ela Świderek and Adam Głuszek, the winner of Oskar Kohlberg's Merit to the Folk Culture Award. There is also a mini open-air museum in the garden next to the main building. Created in the 1960s, it presents two peasant homesteads. The first one consists of a cottage, barn and a granary from the turn of 18th and 19th centuries. Homestead is supplemented with a cellar and the exhibition showing rural vehicles. Inside the cottage, the oldest house equipment is shown, with open fire stove and hand curtains. An interesting way of decorating the walls with trees and flowers painted on a white background is also presented. While visiting the garden, one might see plants used in folk medicine and the exhibition of hives, including figural hives. The blue-painted cottage comes from this and has a characteristic wide geometric and floral decoration painted on the outer walls, so-called fiore. Interior setup is also typical, with a festive room, a hall, a workroom and 2 side chambers. Together with sheds, barn and entrance gates, the cottage forms a square farm, so-called okulnik. The festive room is equipped with decorative furniture, a sideboard, bench, a bed covered with a checkered blanket, pillows and dowry chests. There are traditional decorations, cutouts, spiders, and bouquets of paper flowers. Portraits of saints hang on the walls and above the table, which served as a home altar. The workroom served as a kitchen, bedroom, living room, and often a shelter for livestock. Numerous household appliances, including a weaving workshop, are presented. In a hall leading to the yard, there is a tiled kitchen and a bread oven equipped with baskets, shovels, and other tools for baking bread. Inside the square farm, in sheds and cowshed, we can see, among other agricultural tools, utensils and household equipment such as wooden harrows, wagon, or straw baskets.